Hello, I'm Blockhead and welcome to the channel. Since Helldivers just came to Xbox and got an ODST war bond, I figured I'd talk about the history of orbital drop troopers. Where did this idea come from? Why would you want to drop little meteors with little men inside them from space onto planets? Well, there's a simple answer and there's a complex answer. The simple answer is Robert Heinlein and his book, Starship Troopers, and that's really it, but we'll get back to Robert later. Now for the complex answer. There are two key rules in a lot of sci-fi. Rule 1, the rule of cool. It really trumps reality in almost any situation, like the X-Wing. It's a spaceship. It doesn't need wings. There's no air to create lift. There's no need for those wings. But it looks cool now, doesn't it? The same thing applies to drop pods. Can you imagine how expensive a single ODST drop pod would be? Not to mention the red mist you would be inside when it hits the ground. Real-life space capsules do everything in their power to slow down, to increase drag, deploy parachutes, and just kiss the ground so they don't liquefy their crew. So it's pretty unrealistic to throw people at planets as fast as possible, but it looks cool. Yeah, that's it. That's the idea we're going with. Rule 2 is World War II is the benchmark for everything in your world. Now, this kind of piggybacks off the rule of cool with things like manned AA guns in your battle station, when you can just have a computer hooked up to a laser turret. I can promise you a computer will be more accurate. For example, a CRAM, a modern piece of equipment, is more advanced than anything on the Death Star. At least that's how it seems. And this really applies across all areas of sci-fi, but here's just one more example. Fighters in sci-fi really don't make that much sense. Why risk the life of a skilled pilot when you can just have a remotely manned drone, or AI-powered drone, or even just long-range missiles? But World War II is so engraved in our subconscious that the sense that that's how wars are supposed to be fought. So that carries over to books, movies, and games. So, then what would be the helldivers/ODST equivalent in World War II? Well, obviously, it's the airborne. They jump from planes straight into battle behind enemy lines, and they have to fight their way out and win, any way possible, and with limited resources and completely on their own. So how else do you take the idea of the airborne and put them in science fiction? Other than just having people jump from orbit, but they can't just jump with parachutes. So you give them escape pods that get down to the planet. This really laid the groundwork for the ODSTs and helldivers we all know and love, but there's still an origin point for the orbital drop idea, and that's Starship Troopers. And I know you may be thinking the mobile infantry doesn't drop from pods in the movie, and yes, you are correct. As much as I love the movie, it pales in comparison to the original book. In regard to the book, it's far more of a government thesis than anything, but the mobile infantry is far more interesting than their movie counterpart. For example, in the book, they drop in pods down to planets and have power armor suits that allow them to jump over buildings, have built-in night vision and thermals, and have enough firepower to make even the Doomslayer blush. They are also described as looking like steel gorillas, which leads to the nickname apes, which they still use in the movie, but it makes far less sense there.
Come on, you ape! You want to live forever?
But we are here to talk about the drop pods. As described in the book, they have built-in jammers, along with having breakaway sections that make the main body of the pod harder to single out, and providing them with the appearance that they are dropping in a much larger force than they actually are. Not that an army of super jumping steel gorillas needs a distraction, but it definitely helps them get to work faster and more efficiently. After the mission is done, they send down retrieval boats that blare the theme of the ship they're assigned to draw in their troops. In Johnny Rico's case, it's the Ballad of Roger Young. This song plays out and draws in the mobile infantry like a beacon to get them back to their boats and headed back to their assigned ships. Everything about the Cap Scouts of the mobile infantry screams shock and awe, and truly sets the groundwork for the orbital drop trooper idea. Just before we move on, Roger Young was a real person and a real song about how he died rushing a Japanese machine gun nest in World War II and was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions. Next up on the list is the Emperor's Big Blue Boy Scouts, the Space Marines. which I'll be honest, I don't know that much about Warhammer lore or its history. It's not my franchise of choice. But they do have drop pods, and unlike most others, each drop pod carries down 4 of the Emperor's finest at a time. And frankly, Space Marines are a whole different beast, and I'm just the wrong person to break them down for you, so I'll save us both some time and say that drop pods are one of the least interesting things about Warhammer 40k, and praise be Space King. Now let's move on. Orbital Drop Shock Troopers, or ODSTs for short. These are truly the poster boys for this concept. First appearing in Halo 2, ODSTs are the tip of the spear of the UNSC military. ODSTs are dropped in first to clear out areas so the main infantry force can land, or drop behind enemy lines to take on squad-based top-secret missions, whether it be taking out some high-priority target or cleaning up Oni's dirty secrets. Nicknamed Helljumpers with their motto, feet first into hell. You know ODSTs mean business, and their equipment doesn't disappoint either, starting off with their vacuum suit, which can provide them with up to 15 minutes of external space protection, with titanium ceramic armor on top, giving them far more protection from Covenant weapons than standard UNSC Marines. The helmet comes with a built-in heads-up display and night vision, and on top of that is compatible with some Milner armor systems, which opens up a lot of possibilities for advanced systems. Being the best trained and most proficient Marines in the UNSC, had some of the ODSTs get picked for the Spartan 4 program, like Gunnery Sergeant Buck from Halo 3 ODST. Let's just stop there and not talk about Halo 5 anymore, though. Anyways, ODST drop pods are fairly simple. Some have windows, some don't. Built-in weapon racks to hold small arms for the Helljumpers, a drag chute on top to slow them down, and some rough controls to help assist with landing. And at this point, if you haven't played Halo 3 ODST, you're just a disappointment. Before we get to Managed Democracy, I'd like to highlight some of the factions that didn't quite make the cut. The Colonial Marines from Alien. While openly based off the mobile infantry, they never actually are seen using drop pods and only go down by a dropship in the movie, so sadly, they're out. The Covenant and Halo Reach are shown using drop pods, but who cares about Xeno scum? This is a human supremacy YouTube channel, and alien scum need not apply here. The Dark Troopers from Star Wars, while awesome, are just over-glorified droids, and I have no time for clankers here either. And you, for clicking on this video and watching this far. I know you would be dropping from orbit too if we weren't limited by the technology of our time. Now please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. Thank you very much. The Defenders of Super Earth, and more importantly, Managed Democracy. I'm sure by this point you know about the Helldivers, and at this point, they've been everywhere recently. Yet, after all of this, Helldivers work a little bit differently than Helljumpers, and really, what it comes down to is Helldivers are expendable. Now, just hear me out here before the Ministry of Truth cuts my stream. Sorry about that. Like I was saying, Helldivers aren't heavily trained shock troopers in heavy suits like ODSTs. They're more like conscripts blinded by patriotism and given a cool cape and a cool title and dropped into pointless battles. Like, if a squad of ODSTs gets wiped out, it's a tragedy, but if I wipe out a squad of Helldivers, it's just a brief setback to the Super Earth cause. And now, Helldivers' gear is less uniform than the previously mentioned soldiers and is more just kind of a fashion statement for personalization of each Helldiver. One of my personal favorites is the high-vis yellow to help cut down on friendly fire situations. So the armor comes in 3 main classes, light, medium, and heavy. They truly do range from useless and fast to slow and somewhat useful. In all seriousness, they all have their use cases. Light armor is good for mobility and scouting, can't get shot if you ran away. Medium armor is the jack of all trades, you can still move at a good pace and you don't die to a skin kneecap. Heavy armor is slow, but can actually take a hit, great for tank or sentry gameplay. I can't tell you how many times I get in heavy armor and I'm just like, how did I live through that? The real standout though for helldivers is stratagems. These really do set them apart. Basically, orbital drop grenades that can summon artillery strikes, airstrikes, heavy weapons, vehicles, and reinforcements. Stratagems really are a game changer of comedic genius. There really is nothing quite as funny as like slipping and dropping a 500 kilogram bomb on your whole squad, wiping them all out. And now you got the great variety of stratagems. Artillery strikes, airstrikes, space lasers, minefields, gas attacks, even support vehicles, and heavy weapons. The ability to drop in vehicles and heavy weapons gives you so much more sandbox to mess with as a helldiver, and you can really deal with the enemies any way you would like. So, helldivers may be expendable, but they are not out of options. But with odsts joining the fight for Super Earth, the two greatest drop troopers, the hell jumpers, and the helldivers, there's nothing that can stand in their way. I've been Blockhead, and if you've watched this far, I'd like to say thank you again. This is my first long-form video, and it means a lot that you've stuck around this long. Please like and subscribe for more, and let me know about anything I missed in the comments down below.